my main baits. Buzz baits, whopper ploppers, poppers of some sort, hollow body frog, you're good to go. Alright, this video I'm going to have to edit, but so that's your whole top water. Then you're going to go just below top water, and that's when your little cranks, your square bills, and their shallow running crankbaits come into play. As far as BFS, I recommend the BPS version. These are 1/8 ounce baits. This one's like 3.5 grams, which probably is very close to 1/8 ounce. You can tell these are very similar. They got a little bit different bill designs, but are going to do basically the same thing. They're going to be that little bait in that shallow water. I recommend this probably as much as I do then going to the like 1.0 square bills. One or the other or both will get you a lot of bites, like right when that top water bite shuts off. But then also, if you can still come across these, the Cabela's Dig It is still a hard one to beat. Or just as far as regular baits go, the 1.5, like that's the oh shoot, that's the Lucky Craft Silent 1.5. They're like $6.99. Those are awesome baits. That's the Lucky Strike Rick Clun RC 1.0. But I will throw this on BFS gear, the 1.5. I can't remember the exact weights they go on these, but or the 1.0, 1.5's like right there at the stopping point. I don't like to go any bigger also on my square bills. I don't go any bigger on square bills. I've got the Mega Bass knockoffs. I'll throw those, but I really don't throw, when I'm looking for that shallow water, more square bill bite, I don't really throw those in. What I use the Mega Bass knockoffs for is I'm going a little deeper, and because you can make them kind of hunt, and I like them for that, but not necessarily a true square bill bouncing it off cover thing as much as those. So then that's really the main ones I recommend too, is like a square bill. I don't use too many other cranks. I will, I guess, show you real quick, I guess. I have had luck in the past. I know they're expensive, but some of these little Mega Bass Griffins, those can be a very effective little bait at times, or any of these other scatter wraps. But it's still for small and that little bitty cranks. I like the little square bills. Square bills over all the other baits as far as little cranks looking for a bite, and then or these little guys. Then if you go deeper than that, I really don't, before I go to my worms, I don't have too many other cranks. Like a mid-diving cranks, I don't really have any that I even like. You know, does that make sense? I don't really have any mid-diving crankbaits that I like. Now when you go to sticking with the hard baits, when you go deeper, say you're still at like mid, or you can fish these fast. I also like the RC, I'll say it real quick, jerk baits. There's a certain time and place for these. I like they're like a Mega Bass knockoff basically. That's a color I like, but there's several, you know, color just depends on when and where kind of thing. But have at least one or two of those. But I like the Booyah Hard Knocker. They make it from 1/4 to 3/4. They used to make an ounce when it was Excalibur, or they were basically the same thing with that Excalibur. But the 1/4, they make a half. I have a couple of those, which is not the same exact color. But up until whenever, I just always bought a 1/2 ounce, like I buy my chatterbaits. 1/2 ounce chatterbaits, 1/2 ounce lipless. Last year I found the power of a 3/4 ounce. I still don't really recommend, once these get too small, I don't like them as much. The 1/2 will catch you a very small bass. The 3/4 honestly will catch you a very small bass and catch big bass. This will catch big bass. So if I had to pick one, I would go with the big one. And I think I've been kind of doing it wrong for, you know, since I've been throwing lipless. Because I've always traditionally went with 1/2 ounce, and then this last year, the first time I started with this one. If you guys go back and look in the videos, I had a 1/2 ounce Toledo Gold, lost it. Rogers Sporting Goods, all they had was a 3/4, went up, bought it, and proceeded to start tearing them up. But as of today, if I had to pick it would be 3/4. But there's nothing wrong if you want to get a half, or say if you want a quarter and you're only going to throw BFS stuff, a 1/4 ounce, that'll not the lightest of BFS gear, but that should work. I recommend at least starting at this size. Anything smaller than that on a lipless for BFS, I don't think it works that good compared. Now, back in the day, the old Sonics, if you can come across any of those old Sonics, they don't rattle or anything. Those are decent options to throw like as a lipless. I just have the one. I had Norm Coulter custom paint. Hardly ever throw it. It's just there. Every once in a while I'll toss it out. So you get that Booyah hard knocker in 3/4 or 1/2 ounce would be my recommendations on those. I don't really have a mid diver. I have some of these that are cool. I don't really have any that I love and want to stick by. I will throw in though that Charles, the live targets, these craws that are kind of square bill looking and run pretty deep, we've been starting to have some luck on those. I can't really even recommend those ones to go get if I was you. And these old Bagley, the realistic looking ones kind of thing, these are awesome just to get and have. I still have them in my box, but can't really recommend that you have to have those to catch fish. There's not really any of my mid divers. Oh, you know what? I take that back. I don't have any good ones that I actually like. I had a couple custom painted, but in this mid depth, these colors don't seem to work that great. I think there's too much orange on them. I probably need to just paint them, get rid of the orange myself, paint them yellow maybe. But there is a mid-depth bait that most of you guys will know. Once I first talk about it, you probably already spotted it by looking at these. But the wiggle warts, and you want the old people will tell you, and some of the young people have caught on, the old school wiggle warts are the ones you want. But wiggle warts are that mid-depth bait that just flat out, it just can work. And that's the only baits I recommend. Like, it's kind of a must-have. You need some kind of wiggle wart, and I need to work on my colors. I've got 1, 2, 3, geez. I think I have 9 wiggle warts, and there's about 2 colors in there. That I need to work on. Let me change up some of the colors. I've mentioned before, I'll just show, I don't know, this is going to be a forever video. Those are my knockoffs, my super deep dive, and these are the freaks. Supposed to be like the, you know, deep diving square bill of the fishing world. I just never, I think I've caught a couple fish on that color. They never really caught on. I'm not much of a deep diver anyway, throwing deep diving ones. These are all of my Mega Bass knockoff, and actually this one's a Mega Bass. Doesn't rattle. But I recommend other square bills over these, so I can't really, I'm just showing you those. I'm not really recommending them. Gotta have in your box. Doesn't hurt. Have a couple of knockoffs, go to eBay. My anchor's drifting down. Okay, so we're kind of up at that mid-down depth. A rattle trap can actually go, you know, kind of deep if you reel it slow, or it can go real shallow. Same thing, I'm going to talk real quick about these. I just started using these more in depth this year, the swim baits. You need to get on a swim bait game of some sort, because they're kind of the real deal. The swing impact fats. I talk about Keitech not lasting, but those baits, and you can get them Keitech, Guggen, Saucy Swimmers, the I don't know, Strike King, whatever tail they call them. Where's my Strike King version? Well, I got it somewhere. Anyway, they got a bunch of them, and I recommend for and also I guess I should talk about and recommend, you should get on a swim bait game, but you should also get on from the small swim baits, the very small, the almost crappie jig style, to up to 85 millimeter, which is almost the same as the 3.3 Keitech style from Guggen or Keitech or Strike King. Meredith baits off AliExpress. You can get these fairly cheap. These baits, they last too good. They're a good bait. They're not scented, but it doesn't seem to matter. They get hit good for me. They make smaller versions. The only problem with these Merediths, that's the biggest they get, the 3.3 roughly, which 85 millimeters if you look them up. If you want that 3.8, which seems to be the size I like the best, I'll still use the little one, but the 3.8, I like it overall. This is a close second. I don't like the bigger. Once you get bigger than that, I really feel it's kind of a waste of material. You'll still catch little ones, you'll catch big ones and all on these. But these swim baits they're legit. You can go out and you can rig them on, well, like I talked about, you can actually rig them with this kind of an underbelly weight. They got little spinners that come on that also. You can buy little spinners, add them to it. They got, this is actually the, whoa! I got like a bee's nest living on me. They've got, these are the Berkeley Fusion little underspins that work real good. I kind of take, you can take just like regular, this was a regular skirted jig. I took off that, rigged up a swim bait on it. You know, just depends on kind of what swimming pattern, what you're wanting. This is actually an 1/8 ounce, oh shoot, I've lost my mind. The Finesse Rugby Jig 1/8 ounce shaky head I've got rigged up. I mean, you need to work on your swim bait game, is all I'm saying. You can rig them up several different ways. You can get heads. Heads are kind of expensive for these. Where did I do my heads? Here we go. But you can also go and for like $1.17, $1.20, you can buy these little dudes at Bass Pro Shops. They don't have the greatest hooks, but they'll work for, you know, a few fish, several fish, a while. But you could buy these little guys, take that off, and use them smaller Keytex or Merediths, and rig them up also if you wanted to go that way. Because I've bought some of these, and the bigger they get, they're still like $2. But I bought some, and I bought this so I could get that color, and I put on the back of a chatterbait upside down to help with the fire tiger color. But then I was like, well, you know what? You can set and rig up a pretty good sized, that, if you guys have seen it in a video, Meredith bait that finally wore out on me. That's the first one in that size and color that I actually wore out. And I could probably still use it. But you can rig up out of those $2 jig heads, once that skirt or tail or whatever trailer swim bait is done, you can rig up other swim baits, because they make, where'd my white one go? The point I was trying to get at, here we go, is a lot of these they're wanting like $3 a piece for, and these are only like $1.17, and then you can use that head to rig up your Keytech or whatever brand you have swim baits. And I rigged that one up a little funky, but and then swim that guy around and still, you know, catch fish. And I got these off AliExpress. Haven't tried them yet. I don't like that gap. It needs to be higher up. I just got them to try them. I don't know if they'll do any good or not. So I don't really have a true brand out there yet, or what I recommend. If you had to force me to name a brand, I'd say actually the Guggen baits, the Saucy Swimmers in the 3.3 and the 3.8. Get like just a couple colors. If you had to hold me down and force me to give you a color, it would be the let's say Magic Shad. Hang on. It would be a toss-up, either one, and they're very close. Magic Shad or Electric Shad, and that's a 3.8 and that's a 3.3. But I'd get one of each. I'd get the small one and a bigger one. Or go with Meredith, get the 85 millimeters, and if you get these, maybe go to Meredith and get the couple of the smaller ones for your little crappie jigs and stuff like that. But work on your swim bait game is all I'm saying. I recommend to have some sort of swim baits, and the one I've been having the most luck with is that little dude right there, and that is like your 3.3 rigged up with an actual, just a jig that wasn't originally intended for swim baits. I took and I want to say it was either a Jewel or a Oh, I forget, but it's got the one that they have the head is kind of dimpled like the swing head from the biffle bug deal. But that works very awesome. The next one will probably be this guy, that little smaller weight, but with that underspin. Those two, you can catch a lot of fish on those right there. And that's the bigger one with the underspin. That's the 3.8, 3.3, or 85 millimeter Meredith, and then 3.7 or 8 in the other baits here in the States. All right, you know you need to get your swim bait game going. All right, let's talk about something else.